I know we have a lot of altcoin picks and different stuff that we're looking at. And so I really think this move is what's pushing some of those altcoins. And I think between some of the DeFi plays and some of the meme coin plays that we have, it's going to be a great run. And I think it's right around the corner.
Yeah, and Bitcoin often acts as this funnel into the crypto ecosystem or into the digital asset ecosystem. So what we see a lot of the time is Bitcoin really picking up a lot of users and a lot of first-time buyers, and then people starting to migrate into altcoins, meme coins, and various other digital assets. So good for the whole industry for Bitcoin to be up.
It's the floodgates. The floodgates are opening.
So let's jump over to the AB portfolio and talk a little bit about what we're looking at. I know Mark has some solid picks, and we actually have one of our top picks completely running right now. I was just getting excited about it before we started the podcast. So I think we should start with BSWAP because look at this move right now.
Yeah, click on holdings real quick. And to the right, in the top right, if you click holdings. So that shows our current portfolio, kind of how we are positioned, right? This is the fund. We are still primarily in ETH and staked ETH, right? We've got almost about, close to 60% there. We're actually nearing record lows for our ETH exposure because, we believe it's alt season, right? We think a lot of these alts are going to have much higher potential to grow. I think Miggles and AERO, as we've been talking about on a lot of the last episodes, are some of our biggest plays. BSWAP has just doubled since we've started recording. That's about a 1 million market cap, very small, or actually I guess 2 right now. Very small, not making sense how undervalued it is. Exchange, we saw some things like ALB, Alien Base.
Mark, let's pause on BSWAP because this is kind of a great tangible example. So why, what is the thesis behind it? Obviously, we don't create investment memos for every small trade we do, but high level, what did you think about when you were buying BSWAP for the fund? And were there any comps out there that you looked at, or how do you walk us kind of through your thought process here, high level?
Yeah, it's just undervalued. I mean, it's so clearly undervalued. I think that's my thesis, is that you compare it to things like Aerodrome. I mean, first off, the exchanges have always been the first assets typically, or the first platforms in the whole space to make money, right? Coinbase, even when we were trading back in 2016 on Ether Delta, it's like a lot of the times the exchanges are the way that people can exchange their coins for more coins, right? So those are traditionally getting an insane amount of value, an insane amount of usability. It's like the first app that really makes sense within the space. Everything else is just, you can, if you have a cool token, gaming app, medical coin, whatever it is, if you want to get that coin, you have to use an exchange first. So that's the bottom line thesis, is that first off, the money has to touch these exchanges first. And then when you look at the exchanges, right? Okay, so where are we? We're on Base, layer 2. What other native Base exchanges are there? Which, for the guys at home, or if you want to pull this up right now, Monty, you can go to DeFi Llama, you can go to Base, and then if you scroll down and click Dexes, if you just click Dexes where it's blue, I think it'll filter by Base because you just clicked Base. And if you scroll up, let's see, make sure that we're on Dexes, or are we just on? Okay, so yeah, now click Base. So if you go through this list, you'll see there's several names that you've seen before, right? Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap. But I mean, for the past 6 months and really since Base's inception, we've been more interested in the native Base technology, right? This emerging ecosystem. So, back about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, when we started first buying BSWAP, the only real options was Aerodrome and BSWAP, right? So we bought both. And if you look at some of the volumes and the fees and the revenues that that BaseSwap is making, and compared to Aerodrome, there's a massive gap between how much it's making and the valuation of the actual coin. So, I mean, in my opinion, you have so many different meme coins that are ridiculous, have no value, and they're valued at, maybe 20 million, 30 million, 50 million dollars. And then BaseSwap, if you go on baseswap.finance, it might be baseswap.fi, it is genuinely a very nice application. It's smooth. It works. It works well. Like, you know, you can do a lot of different things on there. You can read their docs, of course, and, you know, that's spelled out nicely. But I mean, the actual infrastructure, the tech, it works. It does something, and it does a lot, actually. And I mean, you know, we can theorize if Coinbase is behind it or not. But either way, I mean, you look at a platform like this that's one of the few native in this booming emerging ecosystem. You know, it's not like we're going to bet the whole house on this, but just to say that this is undervalued at a $2 million market cap, I mean, to say that this is worth as much as, you know, what, Jad the Degen and a lot of other things. There's a lot of other coins that I think are valued much more than this coin, and there's just absolutely no infrastructure. So
yeah, I want to hop in here because I've been yield farming on BaseSwap. I've been using all the features, farming, staking, and I think it's really cool. It's kind of an upcoming DEX that's on Base. It may or may not be connected to Coinbase, and it's offering some pretty decent APY. So to me, it's a great early pick to look at and something that's undervalued. So I'm a big fan of BaseSwap. I'm yielding, I'm farming. I have my tokens locked up in there, and it's been great for me. So
yeah, and as Monty Whitetail wrote about last week or 2 weeks ago, revenue generating smart contracts, I think that's one of the metrics that we're looking at when we consider that BSWAP is actually undervalued.
For sure. So let's look over at Advantage Blockchain Substack. I think some of these articles are our best work, our research that we put out there for everyone to read. So let's talk about this article here today. We're talking about revenue generating smart contracts. And I think it's an important topic because especially on L2s like Base, this is what people are looking at. Which contracts are generating the most revenue?
We're feeling a little spooky today. So just talking about this, this write-up, we look at, well, taking a step back, we are on-chain users at Advantage Blockchain, as Dill just mentioned. We use all these protocols ourselves. We are as crypto native as you can be. And so looking at revenue generating smart contracts, there's some clear advantages that smart contracts add. We list them out here. They ask transparency, trusted execution, autonomy, accuracy, speed, savings. All smart contracts really offer those features. When we look at revenue generating ones, we're really looking at successful businesses on chain. And if you read this article, we dive into it more. But there's a lot of businesses that are profitable on chain, that are generating real revenue, real profit. And we think those are a better metric to show kind of an ecosystem growth than a lot of the other metrics out there, which can be gamed, such as addresses or transactions. No one really cares if you send $10 back and forth to yourself 100 times. But if you sell something for $10 and generate that real revenue, that's a difference maker. So keep an eye out for more of these. We'll have a few coming out post-election. And as we continue to enter the bull market, or move through the bull market, I should say.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I got a question for you, Monty. I mean, in coming up with this, you know, I think I was the one that like suggested we should, you know, create a piece on this, on revenue generating contracts. I mean, I'm constantly listening to Brian Armstrong and Jesse Pollack and what they're listening to, right? I mean, we're stalking these developers, you know, at least, you know, their developments, not their personal lives. But, you know, when Jesse and Brian Armstrong say something like revenue generating contracts is one of the best metrics that you need to look at, we're going to look at it, right? So I have a question for you is what's kind of the biggest thing after creating this piece, anything that you learned or that you were surprised to see, or just any interesting takeaways that you kind of discovered about this metric or about this, you know, kind of analysis?
Yeah, I'd say one, not all revenue generating smart contracts are equal. Some of them are a lot more profitable, and depending on the underlying economics, they can be. So just to give you an example here, before EIP 4844, the net margin on all of these L2s was about 50%. Now it's closer to 80, 90% for the profitable ones. So the underlying businesses, even if the actual businesses doesn't change, technological improvements actually make them much more efficient. And then just really going down the smart contract, stablecoin rabbit hole has been topical point of discussion over the past few weeks. And there's a lot of room for businesses to get more efficient and get rid of the middleman, the extractive people who take that 1 or 2% all up and down, really the financial infrastructure. And if you get rid of them, it actually adds very attractive increase in yields to the underlying holders.
Awesome.
And then I guess we can move on. This is what's great. And thank you for suggesting this topic, Mark, because as we kind of look at different ways to value L1s and kind of revenue generating smart contract, there's other people who are also looking at this. So this is Sam from Frax. He founded the Frax ecosystem. They're also looking at kind of how to value Ethereum, how to value kind of that businesses built on them. And so it's reassuring to us that we are looking at the same topics or issues, however you want to describe it, that key players in the industry are looking at.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
I think that the L2 ecosystems being built on these L1s, I think it adds a lot of value. And I don't think the market necessarily knows how to value that yet. So I think it's still in a discovery phase, because in the last bull cycle, I don't think we had the type of L2 activity that we have now. And it also wasn't the same type of roll-ups and stuff that they're doing now. So it'll be interesting to see in the bull market how the L2 activity affects that value of the L1 currency.